The BBC were aware that Huw Edwards had been arrested for making indecent images of children. The 62-year-old appeared at Westminster Magistrates' Court on Wednesday, July 31, and pleaded guilty to 3 offences, which took place between December 2020 and April 2022. He was first arrested by police in November. A BBC spokesperson has spoken out following Edwards' guilty plea, revealing the BBC were made aware of his arrest last year. The statement said, "The BBC is shocked to hear the details which have emerged in court today. There can be no place for such abhorrent behavior, and our thoughts are with all those affected." The police have confirmed that the charges are not connected to the original complaint raised with the BBC in the summer of 2023. Nevertheless, in the interests of transparency, we think it important to set out some points about events of the last year. The BBC spokesperson continued, "In November 2023, whilst Mr. Edwards was suspended, the BBC as his employer at the time was made aware in confidence that he had been arrested on suspicion of serious offences and released on bail whilst the police continued their investigation. At the time, no charges had been brought against Mr. Edwards, and the BBC had also been made aware of significant risk to his health. Today we have learned of the conclusion of the police process in the details as presented to the court." They claimed the broadcaster would have immediately dismissed Edwards if he had been charged, adding, "If at any point during the period Mr. Edwards was employed by the BBC he had been charged, the BBC had determined it would act immediately to dismiss him. In the end, at the point of charge he was no longer an employee of the BBC. During this period, in the usual way, the BBC has kept its corporate management of these issues separate from its independent editorial functions. We want to reiterate our shock at Mr. Edwards' actions, and our thoughts remain with all those affected." The BBC star was emotionless while the court heard that he had been involved in online chat with an adult man on WhatsApp, who sent him 377 sexual images, of which 41 were indecent images of children. He was later spotted leaving court in a black Mercedes as he faced a barrage of journalists and photographers. Edwards could avoid jail time, as prosecutor Ian Hope told the court that a suspended sentence might be considered for the dad of 5. Meanwhile, his mental health issues, genuine remorse and previous good character would likely be considered as mitigating factors in his defense.